You know, when I sat down to make this video, I actually had like an interesting kind of thought cross my mind. And it was that I don't know if you could tell this story in a normal book. Like, I got thinking about what the story is, what it's about, how it reads, and I don't really see how you could get anywhere near the level of feeling and the energy that this book brings if you were just kind of reading it in like a story format. You could have, descriptions of it, you can say what's happening, but like actually seeing the expressions and the subtle like non-verbal cues that the characters are constantly giving, there's no way that this book would really, in my opinion, be nearly as impactful. Don't Toy With Me, Miss Nagatoro was like an absolute joy to read. Like, it was so fun. Like, I remember I was just sitting on my bed, just like, I must have just had this shit-eating grin on my face. Like, it was just so relaxing. Pax. It was so relaxing and enjoyable that I just immediately wanted the next volume. Like, it was one of those kind of series where I was sitting there going, gosh darn it, I just want to read the second one now. So the story, frankly, is rather simple. It follows our two main characters, Miss, obviously, Nagatoro, and this poor, downtrodden senpai who just really is that reclusive, nerdy type that just kind of sticks to himself. He's probably been bullied, doesn't really seem to have many friends. We've obviously had this before in many anime and many manga. The synergy between these two characters is phenomenal. And absolutely, our young female lead like carries the story just with her antics. She just relentlessly and vigorously bullies and teases our poor little boy. But at the same time, like when I first started reading the book, I actually was almost kind of like, oh, this is like almost too much. Like it was almost actual bullying, like very close. Like she makes him cry like twice in the first two chapters. But there's something for me anyway that absolutely just really made this book, and it's a very, very small part of the manga. So I'll show you. So this girl, her expressions throughout the book is infinite, and they are fantastic. And so it's just these constant needling and teasing, and she makes our poor little man cry, and she has to like mop up his tears. But as the chapter ends, and she gets away, and she has her moment in the sun, and she's traumatized our poor lad. A lot of the chapters end with these, like, before you get to the next chapter, on the blank page, there's like this constant where like she's flustered and like, oh well, maybe I overdid it. Like this embarrassed kind of, oh well, it's this act she's playing with our main lead, and it just it makes it. Like it was here again on the very next chapter where I was kind of like, man, this is almost too, like he's like trying not to cry, and she's pulling his hands apart, and she's like, oh, you poor baby, let me get in there and save the poor lad. But like I said, I kind of got to that point and went, man, this is a bit much. But just before the chapter ends, you have this connecting little tissue of, oh, her heart's beating, she's a little embarrassed, it's like, oh, well, maybe that was too much. I just think one of the great balances this book has is balancing that where the humor and the endearment obviously come from is from Nagatoro teasing our main lead. It's endearing, it's heartwarming, it's funny, and there's that obviously affection there, but it's clouded very heavily in teasing and tricks. But it's those cracks in the armor that you get very few of, but that just bring the story together so well. It's like there's a reverse harem well, I say reverse harem. There's a reverse trope moment, I guess you would say, when usually, you know, the boy falls and they fall together, and just as they hit the ground and they blink and oh no, my hand is on your breast, and oh, you slap them and then that's it. But the reverse moment here, obviously, is that they both fall, but she ends up falling on top of him, and where is her hand? Well, you can probably guess. And it's that moment like this, and she is the one that is super flustered and embarrassed, but she obviously recovers very quickly every time and doesn't let that affect her like it does our main lead. And again, like, both the main characters I think are very strong actually in this book, for maybe how, obviously we've seen this main boy character before, he's kind of tropey a little bit, but the author manages to make him really rather unique in his own right, so he doesn't just seem like that same copy and paste character that we've seen a lot. So that I think is really important because it adds a lot to their dynamic. And the expressions, I'm sure you've seen them out and about on the internet before, but they're fantastic. And there are so many of them, and she just seems like the shittiest little shit you've ever seen, and I love it, and I absolutely can't wait to get the next volume. So guys, I really do highly recommend you go and pick up this book if you kind of like that more slice of life-y kind of book, but the tropes are there, but they reverse them some, and it's not laid on so thick, and it's a bit more nuanced and a bit more interesting. So if you're looking for like a light kind of romancy type of lead, I guess obviously something along the lines of Teasing Master, the other show that I still have to read. I still have that volume, but still haven't read it, but let's not get into that. So yeah, highly recommend it. I had a lot of fun with it. I think you'd have a lot of fun with it. And I will maybe catch you back with more talks about this once I get into more. I think I've already got volume 2 on order, so that might tell you all you need to know. But anyway guys, I'm a Fiddle Ferret. I do some manga reviews, do some unboxings, do some hauls, just nerd, otaku related stuff. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed it, and I will see you back on the prowl next time. Later.